Ever find yourself yearning for another journey in the iconic DeLorean, wondering if Marty McFly and Doc Brown will ever grace the silver screen again? Despite the adamant stance of Robert Zemeckis against Back to the Future 4, alternate timelines and creative outlets have unfolded new tales beyond the trilogy. Join us as we explore the possibilities of a post-trilogy universe and the intriguing narratives that have emerged. Is the absence of a traditional sequel a blessing in disguise? Let's dive into the world beyond the movies. Although a cinematic continuation in the form of Back to the Future 4 appear unlikely, alternate timelines might offer glimpses into the future adventures of Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd's characters. Despite the typical Hollywood openness to potential sequels, the director, Robert Zemeckis, and producer Bob Gale have adamantly rejected the idea of a fourth installment. Gale, in 2020, outlined various obstacles, including concerns about Michael J. Fox's health and anxiety about living up to the original trilogy, as reasons for shelving any plans for a follow-up. Zemeckis, even more unequivocal, has consistently dismissed the notion of the movie ever materializing, extinguishing any hopes among fans for additional Back to the Future installments. The absence of a Back to the Future 4 movie may actually be a blessing, especially considering that neither the underwhelming Back to the Future Part 2 nor the enjoyable Western escapade in the third installment managed to match the original's quality. In a landscape saturated with sequels and franchises capitalizing on 1980s nostalgia, the prospect of a Back to the Future version of Ghostbusters Afterlife may not be necessary. However, the franchise has creatively continued to narrate stories through various mediums. While the likelihood of more films set in the Back to the Future universe is slim, the narrative lives on in different forms, such as comics and video games. These alternative timelines provide fans with a glimpse into the post-third movie adventures of Marty McFly without the need for a Back to the Future 4 film. Robert Zemeckis has expressed a firm stance against the idea of another Back to the Future movie. Despite Back to the Future Part 3 concluding the saga in May 1990, Universal Studios promptly capitalized on the brand's popularity. A year later, Back to the Future: The Ride opened at Universal Studios Florida, and an animated TV program titled Back to the Future debuted. Both creations unfold after the events of Back to the Future Part 3, but they are not direct sequels. In a 2010 interview discussing the Telltale video game adaptation, co-writer Bob Gale affirmed that any Back to the Future content beyond the original trilogy exists in alternate universes. Whether or not original actors, such as Christopher Lloyd, reprise their roles, only the 3 feature films are considered firmly canon. This specific detail underscores the strong opposition of Gale and Zemeckis to the creation of a fourth Back to the Future movie. However, it has also created an immediate loophole, enabling enthusiasts to embark on fresh adventures involving these characters. When developing a project that might include a cameo appearance from a Star Wars character, maintaining strict adherence to the well-established continuity of figures like Darth Vader or Yoda is crucial. Their personalities and backstories allow little room for variation, given Star Wars' unwavering commitment to a tightly controlled timeline. In contrast, Gale's explicit acknowledgement of infinite variations has paved the way for unconventional endeavors like the 2015 short film Doc Brown Saves the World to exist. This approach eliminates any potential conflict with a hypothetical Back to the Future 4 and avoids complications stemming from continuity errors. Evidently, studio and marketing executives have embraced the freedom associated with these creative concepts. Due to Michael J. Fox's challenges with Parkinson's disease, which led to his withdrawal from live-action acting, a significant focus on alternate timelines in live action has shifted towards Christopher Lloyd's portrayal of Doc Brown. Lloyd has made appearances in various projects considered follow-ups or extensions of the Back to the Future narrative. These include theme park rides, live-action segments of the animated Back to the Future show, and reprising the role of Doc Brown in a Nike ad. Lloyd's willingness to embrace his iconic character even led to a cameo in A Million Ways to Die in the West, suggesting that this 2014 Universal movie exists in the same universe as Back to the Future Part 3. Despite the absence of a traditional Back to the Future 4, audiences have not been deprived of witnessing further adventures featuring Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. The expansion of the Back to the Future franchise has reached into the realm of comics, featuring a prequel comic that delves into the origin of Doc Brown and Marty McFly's initial meeting before the events of the first Back to the Future film. Additionally, there were 4 issues of a comic book crossover intertwining the Transformers with the main Back to the Future characters, catering to the nostalgic desires of studio executives fixated on the 1980s. The comic medium has allowed for the enrichment of the Back to the Future world, exploring narratives such as the backstory of key characters and the unexpected encounters of Optimus Prime and Marty McFly. These creative explorations in comics may heighten appreciation for the decision to avoid a conventional Back to the Future 4 movie. With the franchise's sequel rights safeguarded, Gale and Zemeckis appear prudent in steering the narrative through alternative storytelling avenues. Despite the strong resistance to the idea of Back to the Future 4, Zemeckis himself has not been immune to revisiting the iconic elements that propelled his career to new heights. In his 2018 film Welcome to Marwen, which faced criticism, Zemeckis explicitly referenced his most famous work. The movie featured a protagonist immersed in creating a toy version of the DeLorean time machine to thwart an evil witch. However, this creative return to Back to the Future iconography, including flame-covered tire tracks, was perceived as lacking innovation, suggesting that revisiting the franchise might not be fruitful. If Zemeckis struggled to infuse new creative vigor into elements of the original movie, it raised doubts about the potential success of anyone, Zemeckis included, in delivering a compelling feature-length extension to the Back to the Future trilogy. The relative lack of success and recognition for various Back to the Future extensions in those alternate timelines, with the exception of the beloved Back to the Future The Ride, suggests a potential dearth of meaningful creativity in continuing the adventures with Marty McFly. Even the Telltale game adaptation, considered the most official sequel to the original trilogy and released at the beginning of the 2010s, failed to become a pop culture phenomenon. The mixed track record of the original 2 Back to the Future sequels serves as a cautionary tale for anyone contemplating the idea of Back to the Future 4. Marty McFly's story, while capable of producing a movie as perfect as Back to the Future, also demonstrated the risk of yielding something as divisive as Back to the Future 2. Perhaps it's wiser to let the franchise rest. The original Back to the Future attained classic status for numerous reasons, showcasing Robert Zemeckis' pre-2004 ability to excel at big-budget projects. A key element of its appeal was its delightful originality, offering standalone thrills that resonated with audiences of all ages, whether in 1985 or 2025. Honoring this legacy in the modern era might involve creating new original stories that connect with younger audiences, rather than pursuing a legacy sequel solely aimed at appeasing older fans. After all, Back to the Future 4 did technically unfold, albeit in a multitude of alternate timelines spread across various media forms. As we wrap up this journey through the alternate timelines of Back to the Future, we want to hear from you. Do you think the franchise should stay in its nostalgic past? Or would you welcome a bold leap into new and original adventures? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the ride, and don't forget to subscribe for more explorations into the realms of pop culture. Until next time, where would you like the DeLorean to take you? Share your dream destination in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going.